Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the world of MMA. With me, your host, Marley Dawkins. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, if you can hear the music playing in the background, then you will know whose walkout music this is. Because we are just a few days away from UFC 229 this Saturday, October 6th in Las Vegas, where Conor McGregor, the notorious one, will be fighting for the lightweight title against the current champion, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Eagle. Conor's still the lineal champion, never lost his belt, was stripped for inactivity. Strange stripping in some ways, some understood it. I am so excited for this fight, guys. It's just just makes me wanna, just makes me wanna get down. I just can't help it. So that's what we're going to be talking about predominantly today, guys, is UFC 229. We will talk about some other points in MMA too, like UFC 230, but most of the show is going to be taken up by UFC 229. We're going to break down the whole card. Man, I'm so excited. This is what this is what MMA is all about. Just stylistically, before we even discuss the hype and the beef and what's been said, what's been done, just stylistically, a clash of styles, two specialists in one area coming together. This is what MMA started on for me. This is where a lot of the excitement of the sport came from in general. What style works better? What's going to be more successful on the night? We've got probably one of the best wrestlers in all of MMA in Khabib Nurmagomedov. The stories are legendary. Go and talk to people down at AKA. Go and talk to Luke Rockhold and Daniel Cormier. They'll tell you that this lightweight from Dagestan, Russia, takes them down repeatedly in the gym. And doesn't feel like a normal lightweight. It must be all that wrestling of bears and things when he was a kid. I don't know, but it's made the guy into an absolute beast. And he's 26-0, never lost in an MMA bout. Barely even lost a round. I mean, the guy is a phenom. He is something special. His fighting style might not appeal to everybody, but to me, as a martial artist and a fan of the sport and someone who has a lot of appreciation for grappling, I've done a lot of grappling and wrestling in my life, and I have a lot of respect for people who are very good at those disciplines, because in real life combat, they are incredibly effective if you're good at them. It's as simple as that. So Khabib is an amazing fighter to me, but he's going up against Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor is also an amazing fighter. I mean, you tell me, if you ever really imagined anyone could do what he did to Jose Aldo, back in 2016. Did you ever really think that anyone could do that to him? I didn't imagine that anyone could do that to Jose Aldo, to knock him out in 14 seconds. Conor McGregor did that. And also to play with Eddie Alvarez as if he was some sort of plaything. And that's the thing with both of these guys. Khabib, he makes people look like they've never wrestled a day in their life before. He makes people look like a fish out of water. You go and watch the Edson Barboza fight and just look at Barboza's face throughout it. The Michael Johnson fight, it's like they're just drowning and they just can't escape. That's what it's like when a truly dominant wrestler and grappler is just throwing you around. But Conor, equally, it's like he makes people look in slow motion on the feet sometimes. Just look at that Eddie Alvarez fight. I've never seen anybody do that to Eddie Alvarez. Just the same way I've never seen anybody do that to Jose Aldo. The man is phenomenal. He has got an unbelievable left hand. His timing, his sense of timing and movement on the feet is phenomenal. Probably one of the best in all of MMA I've ever seen. His timing and movement and ability to just, while he does miss shots, to just find a way to time that great shot on the feet. And we've only seen Nate Diaz being able to take his shots. And anyone who knows anything about the Diaz brothers knows that their heads are full of fucking concrete or something. I don't think those guys can be knocked out. I don't think it's possible. So I've never held that against Conor, that he couldn't find a way to finish Nate Diaz and he got beaten by him in the first fight. I feel like he redeemed himself. Say what you want about the second fight, but I'm sorry, Conor dropped Nate 3 times in that fight, landed endless leg kicks, and just look at Nate Diaz's face at the end of the fight. And I know a lot of that's scar tissue, but I'm sorry. Conor clearly won the second fight to me, but clearly lost the first one. But he's a specialist on the feet. He really is a special fighter on the feet. And I can see most people are saying if Conor's going to win, he's going to win early knockout, and if Khabib wins, it's going to be a 5-round drawn out war. I can see either scenario happening. I really can, but I don't believe either one of those is going to happen. I don't think either man is going to really dominate each other. I think it's going to be a back and forth war. I think that it's going to be Khabib shooting probably quite early, maybe getting a takedown, Conor working back to his feet. Landing, creating space, landing good shots, rocking Khabib. Khabib, when he's rocked, going for a takedown, getting the takedown, taking Conor down, landing good shots on Conor. Conor working back to the feet, landing more shots. Khabib going for a takedown, maybe Conor sprawling this time. Heavy hips. Creating space, stuff in the head. Getting out of the situation. Getting his underhooks, whatever he needs to do to get out of that situation. And back and forth. I really see it being back and forth, guys. But at the end of the day, I think it could go like a longer version of the Chad Mendes fight. I think that Khabib will last longer than Chad Mendes, but I see it going very similar to that. I think that people talk about Conor's gas tank going away. I just don't think they realise, that while it's true Conor maybe doesn't have the best gas tank, doesn't have the best stamina, but his shots accumulate. They really do accumulate. The guy can knock you out clean with one shot, like he showed Jose Aldo and he showed all of us. But also, he has a very, very good chipping away style. He will gradually just be landing more shots and they will take their toll on you. And I foresee that there will be a late stoppage, that Conor will actually stop Khabib in the 4th or 5th round via strikes. We'll see what happens. We'll get back to the main event. And obviously we've had all the beef, we've had all the build-up. We've had, Artem Lobov, Conor's, training partner and longtime friend, getting cornered by Khabib's team and intimidated. And then Conor flying out to Brooklyn, New York at UFC 223, the same event, and attacking Khabib Nurmagomedov's bus, throwing chairs and dolly cams and, kind of a street brawl potential situation that nearly flared up. Conor having a court case about it. Michael Chiesa pressing charges. He got pulled from the car, glass all in his face. Ray Borg got as well. Rose Namajunas, she got mentally traumatized from the event, and a lot of things happened there. And then we had the press conference recently. Conor was on fire talking about his proper 12 whiskey, and releasing that and just throwing huge shots at Khabib, huge verbal shots. He's attacking Khabib's religion. He's attacking his family. He's attacking his managers. He's attacking where the funding's coming from. He's making death threats. He's doing all of it. He really is hitting Khabib with his best, hardest material. And to be honest, it's all based on truth. It really is, a lot of it, I don't want to speak as if I'm an expert about it, but there certainly is some strange connections between, Khabib and his manager Ali Abdelaziz and the fighters that he manages from the Dagestan area in Russia, and some funding from, the Chechen Republic. He's a dictator, really, Ramzan Kadyrov. He's, there's talk of genocide and things and all sorts that's happened in his country. And he's known to be someone that you do not mess with. And And, Vladimir Putin has even got involved. I mean, this fight has even got political. That's a part of what makes it so awesome and amazing. When can you last remember an MMA fight where, there was actual political tensions involved in it? Putin invited Conor McGregor to the World Cup and wanted to meet him and talk to him about this fight. And I feel that there's a lot of tension here with that as well. I do believe Conor's going to be victorious, but we'll get back to that. Let's look at the whole card, guys. Otherwise, I'm going to waste so much time just talking about this one fight because it's so amazing and I'm so pumped for it. So let's take time to respect the rest of the card because it is a great card in general. Okay, so we're going to open up the undercard of Ryan LaFleur versus Tony Martin. I'm going to keep a lot of these short and sweet, guys, because I need more time to talk about Conor and Khabib. Let's be honest here. It's the main event. It's the one we're really here for. There's a few others on the main card that I'm really excited for too. And a couple on this undercard too. But yeah, Ryan LaFleur versus Tony Martin. I believe they've got similar styles, both serviceable in all areas. Better wrestling probably being the best part of each of their games. I expect Ryan LaFleur to be a little bit bigger and stronger here and be able to grind out a unanimous decision. In the next bout, I think we've got Gray Maynard versus Nick Lentz. Gray Maynard, I'm not sure if he should still be fighting. I think he's taken a lot of damage in his career, even though it hasn't been the longest career. I think he's taken a lot of damage, and I think Nick Lentz, while he has more experience, I think has taken a lot less damage in his career. I think Nick Lentz can potentially accumulate good enough shots on the feet to maybe drop a Gray Maynard and maybe get cinch in a submission, a rear naked choke or something. Nick Lentz has always had decent jiu-jitsu, and I think that's the way that fight's going to go. We've got Alan Patrick versus Scott Holtzman next. I don't have a particular leaning here, but I will go with Scott Holtzman. I think the guy's very athletic, and I think that he's got a serviceable game in a lot of areas, and I think his athleticism will come through here, and he'll use a mixture of takedowns and ground and pound predominantly. I expect him to win this bout. Next, we're going to have Lena Landsberg versus Yana Kunitskaya. This is going to be a women's bout here. Both women who have fought Chris Cyborg at 145 pounds. So that's pretty. That's quite amazing. I think that this fight is a tricky one to call. I don't really have, again, a particular leaning, but I expect that we will see Yana Kunitskaya having slightly better striking here. Could probably outpoint Lena Landsberg. Landsberg has a decent. She likes a cage grinding. She likes a lot of cage wrestling techniques. Lots of knees and things in while clinching against the cage and things like that. And I think it'd be a bit back and forth, but I think Yana Kunitskaya will land better shots and get a unanimous decision. Next, we've got Tonya Evinger versus Aspen Ladd. I like Aspen Ladd a lot. I think she's very talented. She's gonna, I believe, be giving up a fair bit of height in this fight. Tonya Evinger, height and experience. Tonya Evinger is very experienced, but Aspen Ladd, I expect to use decent wrestling and take down Tonya Evinger, and she's got some, she puts some pop in them punches with her ground and pound, and I think she'll land good enough shots to even maybe potentially get a TKO. I don't know, but I expect Aspen Ladd to get a unanimous decision victory here. Then moving on, we've got Vincente Luque versus Jalen Turner. I don't really know much about Jalen Turner, I'll be honest with you. I haven't studied any tape for this. I just go off my knowledge. I don't do any tape studying. I just go off my knowledge of watching fighters through the years, and occasionally I'll refresh myself to go over certain fighters again. And Jalen Turner is someone I need to learn about. I don't really know much about him, but Vincente Luque, I know him very well. Excellent boxing on the feet and excellent jiu-jitsu, and I expect that he'll be able to either get a knockout on the feet or get a submission on the ground, or just drop in with a good shot and get a submission to finish the fight. So I think that's what will happen there. And in the main event of the prelims, I'm really looking forward to the main event of the undercard here. We've got Sergio Pettis versus Hussier Formiga. A big fan of Hussier Formiga. I've had back and forth with Hussier for many times before in the past. I'm a big fan of his. Phenomenal jiu-jitsu. I think he's got the best jiu-jitsu in the division from my perspective. And but Sergio Pettis is probably up there as well as having some of the best jiu-jitsu in their game in the 125 division. So I don't expect Formiga to be able to. So I don't expect either men to be able to submit each other. On the feet, I mean, Sergio Pettis is, as with both the Pettis brothers, he's very talented. Both the Pettis brothers are very talented MMA fighters, all-rounders, really. I think Sergio's got more discipline in his striking on the feet than his brother Anthony Pettis. Not as flashy, and I think that's going to work in his favour in this fight. I think he's going to be disciplined, have better technique, land better shots. And Hussein Formiga has got decent boxing, hits harder than probably people think for his size. But I think he's probably going to be a bit sloppy, and Sergio will probably outpoint him on the feet here. Then to open up the main card, we've got Michelle Watson versus Felice Herrig. 115 pounds. Both women are pioneers of women's MMA. Really, they've been here since the real early days of women's MMA. And I've got a lot of respect for both women and their games. We've seen both women having mixed results in the UFC. And I expect this fight will be pretty back and forward. But I think Felice Herrig will find a way to... I think she'll be probably stronger than Michelle Watson. I think she'll be a little bit bigger than her in the cage. And I think her wrestling is a little bit better. But she'll have to be careful because I think Michelle Watson does have potentially better striking, I think, on the feet. And also, I think Michelle Watson's... I wouldn't say better grappling and jiu-jitsu. I think that they're quite maybe similar in that aspect, but I think Michelle Watson's probably got a jiu-jitsu edge and a striking edge, but I think Herrig is going to take this with wrestling and ground control generally, I believe. Next, we're going to have a big one I'm excited for, Derek Lewis versus Alexander Volkov. I'm going to throw in a little conspiracy for you here as well with this fight, connected to the main event actually, because look, Derek Lewis, we know what the guy does. He is an absolute destroyer. He hits so damn hard. His punches are incredibly hard. He can knock out anybody. But very limited game, really. I believe he's been more receptive to learning in recent years. But predominantly in the past, I don't believe he's very open to learning about grappling and wrestling and things like this. I don't believe he really appreciates jiu-jitsu and wrestling for the fine arts that they are. I believe that he is very one-dimensional. And I think that's going to cost him here. I believe Alexander Volkov is very, very talented. I believe he's the best Russian heavyweight in the world right now, and probably only number 2 to Khabib Nurmagomedov in just overall Russian fighters. He's come into the UFC from Bellator and he's just been beating everyone. He looks so impressive in his last bout against Fabricio Verdum, and beat Verdum on the ground as well. He didn't care about going into Verdum's guard. He was just doing that, and he was just pummeling him and just beating him down, and really got a great finish there. And Derek Lewis, in comparison, had a terrible last fight, really. Francis Ngannou, what can you say about that fight? It was probably one of the slowest fights in UFC history. I don't think anyone was happy with that fight. And I expect Volkov to win this. I think he can win this in a variety of ways. I think he'd be longer than Lewis and stay on the outside and win. And I also think that he can, if he gets an opportunity to take Derek Lewis down, I believe that he can submit Derek Lewis as well. And just as a caveat, as I said, I'm chucking a little conspiracy with this fight. Vladimir Putin and Khabib Nurmagomedov do seem to have some sort of friction. Khabib, openly has said he wouldn't take a picture with Vladimir Putin. Find that a little bit strange, personally. If you take a picture with, random fans coming up to you that you don't even know, but you wouldn't take a picture with, the president of your country. There seems to be some tension there between them, and Putin inviting Conor to the World Cup and not inviting Khabib. I found that kind of strange. And anyone who knows Vladimir Putin knows that he's a big fan of Alexander the Great. And I do believe that Vladimir Putin, Khabib Nurmagomedov is a fighter that Vladimir Putin is maybe not the biggest fan of. But I believe Alexander Volkov is a Russian fighter that Vladimir Putin is a big fan of. And I just have a feeling that Volkov is being put on this card for a reason, because it's connected to the main event in some way. I think that Volkov could be the next heavyweight champion. I wouldn't be surprised. If he gets an impressive finish here, I think he'll be well in line to get a title shot. So we'll see what happens. I expect the Volkov win. Next, we're going to have Ovince St. Preux versus Dominic Reyes. Now, this is another good fight I'm looking forward to here at 205. Dominic Reyes, a very impressive new talent. And just to keep this one short, guys, I just fully expect Dominic Reyes to go in there and knock out Ovince St. Preux. And I expect it to be probably pretty brutal and pretty devastating, because from what I've seen of Dominic Reyes, the guy hits hard, and the guy's very dominant, and I think he's a real talent in this division, and I expect to see very good things from him. And if he can knock out Ovince St. Preux, I expect that he should be able to get someone potentially in the top 5, top 10 after this fight. So we'll see what happens, but I expect Dominic Reyes firmly there to win that. Then in the co-main event, we have got Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. I'm really excited for this one, guys. This is going to be a great fight, this one. Tony Ferguson coming off a long injury layoff, had that knee injury, tripped over in a press conference because he's wearing sunglasses, couldn't see where he was going. He's just like, it's embarrassing, and it was horrible because we wanted to see Tony Ferguson fight Khabib Nurmagomedov, and it's been booked so many times and it just hasn't happened, and who knows if it ever will happen at this point. Against Anthony Pettis, who's looked revitalized, coming off a great win over Michael Chiesa, looking really good. He's starting to look a bit more like the old Pettis, the phenom that really took the lightweight division by storm. It's a tricky fight. Both men, phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Don't expect a submission from either man. I think the difference is on the feet here. I really do. Tony Ferguson's probably got better wrestling than Anthony Pettis, but he never really uses it offensively in any way. He likes to pull guard more than he likes to do, shoot for takedowns and double legs and things like that. I mean, it's not his game. And he likes to box a lot, and he gets hit a lot. I think Anthony Pettis has got better striking than Tony Ferguson on the feet. And I'm going to take a long shot here on this fight, and I think that Anthony Pettis can find a way to get a victory here. And I expect that will be the case. So we'll see what happens. But don't ever, ever, ever count out Tony Ferguson. The man is angry. Did you see his interview recently, the other day? He's basically just getting so angry at the media for not understanding his situation. And then he's had the interim title stripped off him. The guy's got a big, big chip on his shoulder, as he's admitting himself. And, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in there and really puts a beating on Anthony Pettis. But like I say, I just feel Pettis is at a point in his career where he's revitalizing. And I don't know how Tony Ferguson's going to look after that knee injury. And I know he's talking about he can heal himself and all this sort of stuff, but that's a serious knee injury. And really, after 4 months, I don't know. I think if I was in Pettis' corner, I'd definitely be telling him to work a lot of leg kicks in this fight, because I think that he can probably expose something there if he keeps working that. I think Pettis can get it. I really think he can do it. If you want to look for an underdog on this card to back, I'd say Anthony Pettis is a great one to back. Let's be honest, as good as Tony Ferguson is, he's never actually held the actual lightweight title. He's held an interim title. Anthony Pettis has held the real lightweight title before, which has to be impressive by anyone's standards. So, and who says he can't get back to that form? I'm not. Who am I to doubt him? I believe that he's very talented, and ever since we've all seen that Showtime kick back in the day, WSOF. Sorry guys, I'm a bit tired. But in the old days, the Showtime kick, against Benson Henderson, unbelievable. The guy is a true phenom, and I believe that we can see some great new form come from him here. But never count out the boogeyman. 14 fight win streak. Wouldn't be surprised if Tony Ferguson won that, but I'm going to go with Pettis. And then we're back to the main event again, guys. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Unbelievable. What a fight. Goodness, my head just... my head explodes when I think about this fight. I mean, the possibilities, the way it could go, the fallout, what's going to happen after to each guy, and how is either guy going to deal with a loss? How's Khabib going to deal with a first loss, or how's Conor going to deal with another loss on the record? Conor's got, I would say, probably more to lose here, maybe, but that's arguable. I mean, who knows? It could be Khabib that's got more to lose, because he's got that. Conor doesn't have that pressure of never being beaten. He doesn't need to worry about that. He knows what defeat tastes like. Khabib doesn't, and who knows? The fear could get to him in this one. I mean, if any fight is going to get to Khabib, this is probably the one where it's going to happen. I mean, look at the build-up. How could things not be affecting you based on this build-up? And who knows? We're still not at the fight yet, guys. I don't want to jinx anything. You know what I'm saying? Let's just pray to the MMA gods and let's just make sure that this fight materializes and is an awesome fight. I mean, that's ultimately what we want to see, isn't it? We just want to see an awesome fight. And I just can't see any scenario where this is not an awesome fight. I think there's just so many variables. But like I say, I am not going to doubt Conor McGregor based on one loss to Nate Diaz in the UFC. Khabib can talk all he wants, and any MMA fan can talk all they want about, but Nate's, a number 10 lightweight, he's not even very good, and It's like, seriously, you go in there and fight Nate Diaz and tell me what you think, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, Nate Diaz is one of the best 155ers in the world. That guy could be a champion. Are you kidding me? Do you not realize why the Diaz brothers are so notorious? It's not because of this. I mean, yeah, they do that. They got their funny ways, and they're funny in interviews and stuff. But that's not it. That's not why people really like them. It's because of how they fight. They've both got phenomenal boxing. They've both got chins for days. I don't even think it's possible that Nate and Nick could be not properly clean knocked out. I just don't. I've never seen it. And the jiu-jitsu is on another level. It's on another level. And Conor got caught by Nate's jiu-jitsu. What? So what? I mean, yeah, he got caught on his feet first, and from exhaustion, just gave the rear naked choke to Nate, and Nate took it, cinched it in. That can happen to any top level fighter, and I'm telling you, that can happen to Khabib Nurmagomedov against Nate Diaz. I don't care what anyone's saying. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't make a difference. Nate Diaz is a top quality fighter. Do not try and draw any conclusions from that as to why Conor won't win this fight, because Conor McGregor is the kind of character where before you know it, oh, boom, it's over. Oh, shit, you didn't see that coming, did you? Don't you tell me you saw him knocking out Jose Aldo before that fight, because you didn't. Not like that. You didn't see him dominating Eddie Alvarez like that. Not like that. No, you didn't. You saw him at least going through some adversity, didn't you, in your mind? Remember before the fight, you were sitting there thinking, how many times in MMA has this happened with Conor? And he usually comes through. He usually comes through and just shows everyone, like, right, okay, he's the man. I expect he's going to land more cleaner shots, and I just don't think Khabib's been hit by anyone that hits as hard as Conor. I think those shots are going to accumulate. I don't think those shots are going to take out Khabib in one shot, one round. Khabib's too tough for that. But I believe there will be an accumulation process. Who knows? Maybe that'll be an accumulation process the other way around, where Khabib is just so relentless with the takedowns and keeps taking Conor down over and over and keep landing ground and pound, hard ground and pound over and over and over, accumulating loads of shots, that eventually Conor just gives up, gets TKO'd or gets submitted by Khabib. I think Khabib really would like to submit Conor. But I'm not going to start doubting Conor McGregor right now. The man makes history. That's what he does. This is history. I believe he's going to go in there and make history and find a way to beat Khabib Nurmagomedov. So that's all I've really got to say for today, guys. Other than that, UFC 230 is coming up soon as well. We still don't have a main event. We do have Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier, and that's pretty awesome. We've had Valentina Shevchenko and Sijara Eubanks, which has been added to the card recently. I'm not quite so sure why that's been added. I think it's a little bit... I don't know if really, anyone was desperate to see that fight or anything. I don't think I was, or anyone I know for that matter. But it looks like a very good card. There's a lot of good fights on the card, so we're going to cover that as we get closer to that. Obviously, we're going to have more talk about the end of the year cards as well. Is John Jones going to come back before the end of the year? Obviously, a lot of talk about Jones Gus 2. Really would love to see Jones Gus 2 at the end of the year. That would be a phenomenal ending to the year, right, guys? We're just going to obviously cover all the news that comes out from the world of MMA, share it with you guys. That's all for today, guys. This weekend, UFC 229. Let's focus on that. Let's enjoy it. Just enjoy it as an MMA fan. Really drink it in every moment, and appreciate that these kind of fights don't come around very often. Okay, enjoy this one, guys. Thank you for taking the time with me today. I'm Marley Dawkins. This is the world of MMA at the MMA Gateway. So, for now, guys, take it easy.